Well, we also see audiobook sales growing again. We see double-digit growth as attention from new audiences rises from growing interest among normally non-listeners, which is great. It means now the field of listeners is growing and coming in there. According to a survey by Audio Publishers Association, they show a return to digit growth for the industry with an increase in revenue to $2.22 billion, 13% more than the previous year. Now, they did say that there was kind of a concern about piracy. There was 35% of audiobook listeners have listened to an audiobook on YouTube, which mostly comes from pirated sources.
No, false, false. The Audiobook Association is 100% wrong here. They are interpreting the YouTube audiobook listening as piracy because from their perspective, they think that it's people like ripping the audio off of Audible and uploading it to YouTube. And that is not the case. There's actually a very solid strategy of uploading your own audiobook to YouTube. In fact, I know a lot of indie authors who do this and actually make a ton of money doing this. It's a way of allowing the audiobook to be free, but YouTube pays you by the watch hour, which is actually a really great way to get paid if you have an audiobook. And if somebody listens to your audiobook every night as they go to sleep, or they just put your audiobooks on repeat, it can be a lot of watch hours that can actually add up to pretty good money. YouTube pays a surprising amount, and a lot of indie authors are finding that they're making as much and sometimes more with their audiobooks on YouTube than they're making with those exact same audiobooks on Audible because the Audible royalties are so low. So there's a big misunderstanding of the indie world and understanding how big indie world is in traditional publishing world because they just don't measure, they don't listen, and they just ignore it. They're like, la, 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 can't hurt me if I don't see you. But yeah, this is not a problem. It's just another distribution mechanism, which actually, if you're a audiobook producer, you're happy for because it's now more competition for Audible. So Audible is now competing with a free version of the audiobook on YouTube, and it's competing with a kind of free version on Spotify.
You do have
if somebody's a YouTube Premium subscriber, there's not even any ads. They pay their $15 a month or $20 a month, and they get to listen to unlimited YouTube audiobooks for free and watch videos like this one ad free as well.
And we can actually benefit from this as well because we were talking about this with the Audible versus Spotify thing where Spotify does minutes of listen time as opposed to having to spend a credit to get an audiobook. Well, you're not going to try out a new author with a whole credit, but you might spend some minutes on it. Well, that's really good about YouTube is you can actually post your lead magnet for your audiobook onto YouTube. And then not only are there people getting a chance to try out your book, but they're also getting the chance to find you because YouTube is plugged into Google's SEO for as long as that's still working. I know we've been talking about that for a while, but you can still take advantage of the fact that YouTube will populate as a search result if you have your book on there because YouTube and Google are so intertwined. I think YouTube and Reddit are the top secondary sources that pop up on Google search results.
Yeah, depending on the kind of search that people are doing. And I have an idea here. I gave this to one author on a call, but I'm now going to give this idea to all of you wonderful listeners of Author Update. And that is to take your audiobook and instead of uploading it as a static image, see if there is a video game that is related to your audiobook that you could use footage of. So when I was talking about this, I was talking with an author who wrote Victorian era stories that take place in the American West. And I was like, did you know that Red Dead Redemption footage is a huge genre on YouTube? And I sent her a few videos of just the guy in Red Dead Redemption walking around the world of Red Dead Redemption for 2 hours. And the video had like 1.5 million views. Because this is a video that's made tens of thousands of dollars for the person who uploaded it. And there's no violence, there's no action, there's no like actual content from the game. The person's not playing the game. It's just a clip of the cowboy walking through the snow for 5 minutes, and then the cowboy walking through a town for 5 minutes, and the video games happening around. And that's a tactic. There's a lot of open world games that take place in a lot of eras that really could work here, and it would be something interesting to look at if people wanted to look at. Something you can do without getting in trouble. YouTube is totally fine with video game footage. The video game makers are totally fine with this. In fact, if you're famous enough, video games actually will pay YouTubers to play their games because it's really good promotion
Right.
for them. So you're very safe. The one thing you can't do is play music from the game. So if you're playing, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto, and you like turn on the radio in the car and it's playing Taylor Swift, that you can't do because Taylor Swift will come after you for listening to your song in the game. But a lot of the games, if it's current day, will have like a streaming friendly way where it won't play any licensed music. But really, you don't want the music, right? You want your book playing in the background.
Voice. Yeah.
And you don't want the video to be too interesting because you want them still lost in your story. The video game is just kind of setting the ambiance. And this is something that's not hard to do. You could hire somebody on Fiverr. There are a lot of video gamers who'd be very happy to be able to play a video game and make $100. There's a lot of 12-year-olds who'd be like,
20
bucks,
Mom! $20. They're playing a video game.
Well, but they're doing more than playing a video game. They're recording the footage of it and they're editing it, and they're not really playing it. They're
hire your kid playing Minecraft. Ted has a pretty good question here. For the YouTube audiobook, is it the author on camera reading the book or some sort of art? I've seen all kinds, but the best one is there's something going on the screen, like Thomas is talking about the video game.
Or it's usually art, I would say, is the most common way to do it. It's not necessarily the best.
A still is just easy to do.
Yeah, your face, don't do that because it's going to make edits more difficult. Authors' faces are never the most appealing thing about their book. Even Melania Trump.
Did you just say authors are ugly?
No.
You just said I wasn't attractive. Would you not stare at my face for 14 hours to listen to my book?
So Melania Trump, very pretty woman, right? But she doesn't put her face on her book, right? She just puts the word Melania in black text on a white background. Very clever, very savvy, because she's inviting people into her internal world. That's the whole point of the book.
There's a couple cool numbers that also came from this survey. Accessibility is a key factor when choosing where you get your audiobook from. 72%, it has to be available on their preferred listening platform. And right now that's still going to be Audible. But YouTube will be a big one because it's free. And another thing about that is if they're listening on YouTube and the ads annoy them, it'll annoy them enough into buying the audiobook if they like it. So that's
also, if you write short stories for children, so like children's books,
YouTube
the number one platform is as a song on Spotify. Not as an audiobook on Spotify, as a song on Spotify. I will tell you this as a parent. I have a playlist called Tommy's Bedtime Playlist or something like that. And the songs on that playlist, which are like Dr. Seuss stories and fables from Aesop and some podcast episodes that we found of like moms reading their kids' books, get so many streams. And the songs get paid every time we listen to this stupid 2-minute Aesop fable over and over again. And so if you're doing books for children, do the extra work to get your song added, your book added as a song, as a track in regular Spotify, so you get your streams. And you may find that that's actually a good source of revenue in addition to having your book as a book on Spotify.
And I found the song doesn't have to be good for your kids. I do a podcast of stories for my kids, and by far the most popular one for them is the polar bear song, because my third oldest wanted a song about polar bears, and I'm like, I don't think there are any songs about it. So I made one up, and they loved it so much they probably listened to it 200 times in like a week. So that stuff definitely works.
And this is where the platform aligns with the monetization strategy. Small children like things repeated. If they really like something, they want it over and over and over again. And Spotify pays on a per view basis, as opposed to Audible, which pays just one time. So if you sell somebody an audiobook on Audible and their kid listens to it 200 times, you make the same amount of money than if their kid listened to the first 5 minutes and then got bored with it. Whereas on Spotify, every listen streams you some fraction of a penny. It's not a lot. It won't make you rich with just one book, but you don't need that many toddlers listening to your story every night for it to add up.
It does add up because they just do the one thing. This is an interesting thought here. Quick hack for audiobooks: chop sections of your story into shorts. Give it a good title, and you'll get a ton of streams. Do you think it works as a short? Because I think that would be annoying, especially if I came in on like short number 18 of 72.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's what this person is suggesting. I think it's like, here's a really good scene that's kind of a standalone. They listen to that one scene and then it causes them to be interested
Mm-hmm.
in the movie overall. And I will say this has worked on me for films. I've seen YouTube shorts where it's a clip of a scene for a movie and it makes me want to see the whole movie. In fact, this is what got me to watch Ford v Ferrari, which is a masterpiece. If you haven't seen Ford v Ferrari, 10 out of 10, really well written, really well shot. You don't even have to like racing to like the movie. It made me feel some kind of way. I laughed, I cried, it moved me, Bob. But what won me over was this one scene of Ford the second, Henry Ford the second, going on a ride in his car, and there's like this drama over like they're getting their mechanic shut down, and it's a really well shot scene. That one scene went viral on YouTube Shorts, and then later when the film went on Amazon Prime, I think it's still on Amazon Prime, I was like, well, gosh, I'll give this a shot. So I started watching it. I'm like, wow, this is really good. Wow, there's a lot of famous actors in this. It's like, this is not a low budget film for a movie about cars. So theoretically, you would think that it would work for audiobooks. I will say the short clip of the long thing, that formula, I have not yet cracked personally. We tried and tried and tried to take short 1-minute clips from novel marketing episodes and get them to go viral. And the only one that got any views was one where I'm talking about Taylor Swift, and it only got views because it had Taylor Swift's picture on it.
No, you have to tell your D-Day story again.
So it's the dream, right? That AI can like find the most interesting minute
Right.
of your podcast episode or the most interesting scene from your book, and you take a clip and you put it on YouTube Shorts and it goes viral and everyone goes and buys your book. I have not seen that dream materialize. I'm not denying that it will happen, but what I am saying is I don't have a formula for success for you to figure out to make it work.
You got to be short and snappy. What they used to call the Spartans laconic, what they used to train on, was making a response short and interesting, and that will get people grabbed, especially in these short clips. The genres that are experiencing the most growth are in romance at 30%, children's and YA at 26%, and science fiction and fantasy at 21%. Now, something interesting here is that the consumption and number of AI narrated audiobooks has increased, but willingness to try them has dropped from 77% to 70%. So these are numbers to keep track of and trends to keep track of if you're planning your business strategy in the future.
Just in the last 48 hours, 11 Labs released a tech demo of their new audiobook narration feature. And I wish we could play it for you today, but the platform that we're using doesn't allow us to play other YouTube videos inside of this YouTube video. Yo, dog, I heard you like YouTube. I did post it to authormedia.social. And what it does is it allows you to put a word in brackets to communicate to the AI what you want the emotional tone to be. And the AI actually performs the text staggeringly good. Like, you can't tell that it's AI. And we're getting to the point now where AI is better than most people at acting. Because most people aren't very good at acting, and they're not very good at reading out loud. And so AI is now better, I would say, than the average person or the median person. It's not better than the pros yet. So hiring a professional is still going to give you a higher quality than 11 Labs. But we're now at the point where 11 Labs may be higher quality than what you can do on your own, especially without a lot of effort.